Good Lord. Welcome to Every New Day, and this is a special report from ENDtv News. Scandal, secrecy, and political ties. In today's video, we unpack how former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, also known as Bojo, carried with him on a Ukraine trip not just his aides, but the man who gave him £1 million. Why bring your donor into the heart of a war zone? Leaked files, business ties, and murky lines between public service and private gain. We'll break it all down, but also the bigger picture of post office ethics in politics. In October 2025, The Guardian published an investigative piece titled "The £1 Million Man. Why did Boris Johnson take his donor to Ukraine?" The story is based on a set of leaked files, sometimes called the Boris Files, obtained by transparency group DDoS Secrets, which shed light on Johnson's post-premiership activities and relationships. Central to the story is Christopher Harborne, a major but private political donor in the UK. He has been linked to large donations for Brexit, and in November 2022, he gave £1 million to a private company set up by Johnson called the Office of Boris Johnson, Ltd.
Christopher Harborne, let me tell you how he is described by the article, right? He is described as a digital nomad. His holdings, he's a very wealthy man. His holdings include, by the way, cryptocurrency, wellness centers, jet fuel, and here's the really interesting part. He has stakes in at least 3 military contractors, right? Companies that make war weapons, right? And his connection to Ukraine, are you ready for this? Wow. He is the biggest state shareholder in the British weapons manufacturing company, whose robots and drones are reportedly supplied to its armed forces.
Interestingly, this donation was not recorded in the standard Electoral Commission database for political contributions, raising eyebrows about whether it was for political aims or private enterprise. The Ukraine trip and the leaked files. Less than a year after that donation, in September 2023, Boris Johnson reportedly traveled to Ukraine, but he didn't go alone. Harborne accompanied him. According to the leaked files, the pair attended the Yalta European Strategy Forum in Kiev and met with Ukrainian officials. In the official itinerary, Harborne was registered as Advisor, Office of Boris Johnson. But why? The files don't fully explain it. Neither Johnson nor Harborne has offered a clear, credible account of Harborne's role on the trip. At the heart of this is the Boris Files, about 1,820 documents, roughly 2 gigabytes of material, containing emails, invoices, letters, business contracts, internal memos, and more. These leaks show that Johnson, after leaving Downing Street, may have leveraged relationships he built while in office for private ventures. For instance, Johnson is alleged to have lobbied UAE officials for a $1 billion climate finance deal under a firm called Baya Advisory. Documents suggest he aimed to use contacts he made in office. Here's a short clip summarizing the leak and its implications.
At the heart of the revelations is the Office of Boris Johnson, a limited company established just weeks after his resignation. The documents suggest that this vehicle has been used to coordinate a series of highly paid business ventures, many of which appear to blur the lines between public duty and private gain.
Johnson, when pressed, criticized media coverage as biased or derived from Russian disinformation, saying, "Your stories are rubbish." You should be ashamed of yourselves. He probably didn't sound like that, but anyway.
This story is rubbish. The PDCA has been used entirely in accordance with the rules. The Guardian should change its name to Pravda, claimed Johnson when the British daily newspaper and online news outlets broke news on the Boris Files. According to the publication, however, they'd attempted to reach out to Johnson for a comment several times before breaking the news. It wasn't until after the fact that the former PM stepped in to defend himself.
His office also asserted that there's no evidence Harborne sought gain or had links to Russia. Meanwhile, Harborne's legal team maintains the donation was given simply to allow Johnson to remain engaged in UK politics. Yet critics and ethics bodies have flagged this as dangerous, a possible abuse of contacts gained in public office. A UK ethics watchdog recently found Johnson breached rules intended to prevent leveraging such contacts for personal gain. Others have called for revoking his £115,000 public duty costs allowance, also known as the PDCA, an allowance given to ex-prime ministers to run their offices, pending full investigation. One especially provocative angle: Harborne has a substantial stake in QinetiQ, a British defense tech firm whose products, drones, robots, military tech, are reportedly used by Ukraine in its war effort. Where have we heard that before? Palantir.
In August 2019, a month after becoming Prime Minister, Johnson and his senior advisor Dominic Cummings met privately with Peter Thiel, co-founder of the US data analysis firm Palantir. The meeting, held at Downing Street on the 28th of August and described in official logs as private, was not disclosed in the publicly available meeting records. At the time, Palantir was pursuing businesses with the UK government. After the meeting, the company secured several contracts related to NHS data, including substantial roles during the pandemic.
The trip itinerary reportedly included a closed meeting at a military R&D center, though it's unclear whether Harborne was present. That leads to speculation. Was this more than symbolism? Was Harborne's donation and presence a way to align commercial interests with foreign policy advocacy? Some foreign media have gone further, contrasting it to a bribe to prolong conflict. For example, a Bulgarian outlet speculated Johnson may have encouraged prolonging the war for financial gain tied to Harborne's stakes in defense tech. Interesting. The broader context, post-office lobbying and ethics in politics. While this case is dramatic, it's part of a broader phenomenon, the revolving door of politics and business. Former officials often capitalize on networks built in office. The Boris Files reveal multiple examples: lobbying Gulf states, business pitches tied to foreign officials, and requests leveraging past connections. One especially eye-opening case, already mentioned, Johnson reportedly lobbied UAE officials for his Baya advisory project, leveraging contacts from his time as Prime Minister to try to secure investment from Mubadala, the Abu Dhabi sovereign fund. Critics say that violates norms, even if not yet illegal.
The former PM lobbied senior Saudi figures, including Majid al-Kasabi, a minister Johnson had met during his premiership, offering the firm's services to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, particularly on helping Saudi Arabia reduce carbon emissions. Johnson personally wrote a letter to Prince Mohammed, admiring his vision for the kingdom and Better Earth planned to propose projects like geothermal electricity as part of Saudi Arabia's net zero commitments. When Johnson applied to the Advisory Committee on Business Appointments in early 2024, his form did not disclose that he had already agreed to work for Better Earth. Akoba later approved the role in April 2024, but imposed conditions. For 2 years, he must not use lobbying contacts developed while in office to secure businesses or investment for the company. However, the documents show that he had already had a lunch with Kasabi, during which Better Earth's aims were clearly discussed.
There are also potential consequences in the UK if Johnson is credibly found to have subverted ethics rules, calls are growing to revoke his access to public allowances reserved for ex-PMs. Let's break down the possible interpretations, shall we? Firstly, a benign scenario. The donation was purely altruistic, the trip was political or charitable, and there was no overlap of business. In second place, the conflict scenario. Harborne's investments benefit from Johnson's stance, creating perceived or real influence. And finally, the ethics breach scenario. Use of public connections to help private interests, especially in defense or foreign dealings. We don't yet have definitive proof of wrongdoing, but the facts raise serious red flags about transparency and accountability when former state leaders walk into the private sector. Well, let's recap. Johnson accepted a £1 million payment from mega donor Harborne to his private office company. That donor accompanied Johnson to Ukraine in 2023, attending high-level meetings. The Boris Files leak reveals numerous instances of Johnson leveraging contacts for private opportunities. Harborne's ties to defense tech add a layer of potential conflict. Defenders deny wrongdoing. Critics call for investigations and reforms. The key open questions remain. Was Harborne's role merely symbolic or substantively influential? Did Johnson materially benefit from the donor's business interests? And should laws or oversight be tightened to prevent such overlap in the future? Well, we'll keep watching how authorities respond and whether this turns from scandal into reform. But we're not holding our breath. If you found this video helpful, insightful, please hit a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss future deep dives. Drop your thoughts down below. Is this a case of cronyism or a benign donor relationship? We'll link any sources, especially those related to the Boris leaks, down below, the leak files clip in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time. This was ENDtv.